In the UK, Oxford, Queen Mary, King's, they couldn't care less if you play violin. They couldn't care less if you can swim, but they do care about the books that you read, the online courses you've done, and how you can critically engage with the stuff that you've done.
Today we're here with Sunny Jain, and Sunny's the CEO of A&J Schools. And from what Sunny's told me, A&J Schools works to help students get into top universities like Harvard, Yale, Cambridge, and Oxford. So, Sunny, can you introduce yourself and tell me a bit more about your company? Why did you decide to put a company such as this together?
Aslam, we started the company initially as University Admissions Consultancy. So exactly right, students would stay in their bricks and mortar school and would come to our school evenings and weekends, for tutoring, for university admission support. But we've now evolved into a full-time school. So basically we have students who are either full-time or part-time. So if you're part-time, you stay in your bricks and mortar school and you come to us evenings and weekends for tutoring or our university admissions program. But if you're full-time, you leave your bricks and mortar school and you come and just study with us, which is a Monday to Saturday, 9 till 5, basically every day.
So as a young man that was in his early 20s, that was a graduate from Oxford University, am I right?
That's right, yeah.
What motivated you to start an online company that helps students with tutoring, helps students with university applications? In this age of everyone wanting the quick fix, everybody wanting to become a CEO straight away, you became a young CEO. What motivated you to do that, and were there struggles along the way?
Yeah, so couple of things. First of all, we do the university admissions, the tutoring, but we're also, a full-time school as well, which is the latest addition. Secondly, I was this year. I'm no longer the CEO. We have an executive team and led by the headmaster of the school. So my role is now just university admissions, which is sort of my specialty. But basically, there were several reasons. A big one is I was applying for jobs and I got rejected from a job in a bank that I applied to, and so that rejection was really painful and sort of made me look at other options, and then I started tutoring and teaching, and then just fell into this. And so initially this was just a way to make money, and then I actually committed to it properly full-time and realized that I really enjoy this and I love helping kids and I love seeing them sort of go from A to B, and so I decided to make a career out of it.
And it was great seeing you interact with my students as well, and I've got some of the questions actually as well. But going back to your point of the failures that you had when you were applying for jobs, I had a podcast recently with Sam Moyne, who also started a company that helps the youth with well-being actually. Mm-hmm. And I find it fascinating that both of you faced struggles and you overcame that struggle by forming your own company.
Yeah. Look, I think could have gone either way, and there were several things that I've done that failed, that no one hears about today, but they were complete failures, either through my own stupidity or just bad luck or a combination, mainly my own stupidity. So, but the reason I started my own company with A&J School is because there isn't on the market what we do, and the reason I started it is I identified that there are a lot of kids who leave school.
Yeah.
School works really well for some kids, but it doesn't work really well for everyone. And there are a lot of kids who leave schools completely unprepared for challenges of life. Like they don't know.
They're not world ready.
Exactly. Like they don't know how to open a bank account, how to sign up for, a doctor or dentist appointment. Like they don't know how to get a visa. They don't know how interest rate, credit card debt works, student loans, how to talk to people, how to handle emotionally difficult situations, and so we're a normal school. We teach all the maths, the history, the English, and we do it really, really well. And because we're online, we don't spend money in the building, on the swimming pool, on the athletics track. So all the money saved, we get the best teachers in the world to come and work with us. But then we offer this additional stuff, the life skills that no one else.
I mean, and that's really important. I was doing a lecture recently at Qatar Foundation, and I was talking about how we don't make our students well ready. The way I try to do that is I embed and incorporate technology into my classroom, so that one of my students doesn't open a laptop for the first time when they're in the office. We're already using laptops and technology and using things like Microsoft OneNote, Mentimeter, and Padlet, so that they become accustomed to these things. But I love the fact that your school takes that next step and actually prepares them by giving them those life skills.
Yeah. So and that's really important. For example, recently, and we again, because we're saving by not having physical infrastructure, we save a lot of money. So all that money goes into getting the best experts in the world. Like in a normal physical school, often the teachers, you're limited by location, but with us we're not limited. So for example, one of the lecturers who's teaching communication to our students, he for the last 25 years has worked at Harvard University. He's a professor at Harvard Business School. Taught thousands of students there, communication and other things, and now he's teaching our students. So it's not for everyone, but it's quite a unique thing that was missing, which is why we came up with it.
I love the fact that your company was formed out of the fact that there was a gap in the market, that something was missing from the student experience, and that's your raison d'etre, the reason you put that thing into existence. And I've done a lot of that with some of the stuff that I do. I looked at the world and thought, there's something missing, and wouldn't it be great if that existed? And that's entrepreneurship, isn't it? Entrepreneurship isn't taking something that exists and rebranding it and putting it out there. It's about looking for something that's missing. How can you make the world a better place in one small way?
No, that's right. And look, school is not a new thing, right? It's been around for hundreds of years, and a lot of the things we do are the same. The way we teach history is not much different to the way most other schools teach history, but we just think that we focus a lot on the team, on the teacher team, because which is really key, and we've got this core curriculum of life skills that I developed. So it's not for everyone, but horses for courses.
So my next question actually relates to Oxford University. So you're a student at Oxford University, an Oxford graduate, and a lot of my viewers will know Oxford from movies. Did they use it in the Harry Potter films as well?
Yeah, there are a couple of places where where it has been filmed.
Yeah, but that's all we know. What was your experience like having attended one of the best universities in the world?
Aslam, so honestly, there was good and bad. And I'm always skeptical whenever I ask someone how was X experience, and they're like, I've had the best time of my life, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really, was everything really amazing? So there was not a single thing in 3 or 4 years that you've struggled with. So for me, there was a lot of up and down, and I've,
as any university experience would be.
But I've had, I've made some great friendships and had a great time. I've also had some pretty dark times, and was, pretty challenging as well. So it wasn't all smooth and just fun, and it was mixed for me.
That's really enriching, actually, because the university experience is supposed to prepare you for life, isn't it? And then you went on to move on to get a job at Harvard. Now, I only know Harvard from the fact that I watched Gilmore Girls, okay, and one of the characters wants to apply to Harvard, but that's all my knowledge of Harvard. What was it like having a job at Harvard at the age of 23?
Yeah, so basically, I submitted an application to the Davis Center at Harvard University for a position of fellowship, like visiting fellow, which is it's a bottom of the food chain academic position, and I submitted it and I totally forgot about it. They acknowledged, we received the application, and that's it. Then 6 months later, I just received an email saying, hi, we would like to invite you as a fellow, and come for a year. And there was that. I couldn't come for a year, so I just I negotiated to only come for a semester.
Right.
So we were there for 6 months, and it was great. I had my own office, shared office with a friend. I could audit any lecture at Harvard. Had time to do my own research. So no, it was an amazing experience. But the experience also taught me that I love the UK and I love being home, and I don't really want to live in America.
Yeah, I bet. And then you moved on to make your own company, and it's a company that's based on advising students. How did you manage to incentivize that?
So the main incentive, you do the job well and people talk, they talk to friends and family. We also do some advertising because there are a lot of people, majority of people have never heard about us. So, yeah. And I've tried everything. We've done Facebook ads, Google ads, radio, leaflets. We've done events. The one thing I've learned, by far the best thing is word of mouth. Yeah. So now we've got critical mass where students just come to us because we're known to do a good job. But we're still investing basically more money to build relationships. So we're not so much running ads, but more about outreach, reaching out to partner schools, and saying, look, can we work together in a non-competitive way, where, for example, you're a school, we don't want to steal your students or, to poach them in any way. So, for our full-time school, but for our part-time school, yes, maybe, they can come to us and do our university admissions program or tutoring. And in exchange, we would provide a lot of free resources. So we do talks, training for teachers, and resources for kids. So, you have to give value first before you can expect something in return.
No, I really believe in that. I believe that education's almost become not exclusive, but schools kind of tend to shy away from each other, shy away from collaboration. But collaboration really will allow many, many great things to occur compared to schools trying to do the same thing on their own without any communication between them. It shouldn't be a competition. We are there for the young people.
Yeah, totally. And look, I know that our school, I know that A&J School full-time option, it sucks for a lot of students. Like I know that what we offer doesn't work for a lot of kids. I also know that it works really, really well for some kids. So it's not, as you say, it's not a competition. There's enough for everyone, and I think we can all learn from each other.
No, there's a company that I've become recently affiliated with as well, which is ILM Connect. And ILM Connect is about getting teachers to start communicating and working and collaborating together on a shared platform, really. So I'm a huge advocate for collaboration. I want to now move you on to talking about the university application process.
Yeah.
And now, personally, talking purely from personal experience, I wish I had known you when I was applying for university. Because talking purely from personal experience, I had the grades. I was telling you earlier that I had 3 A's. And 3 A's back then was unheard of.
Yeah, this is before grade inflation and they made it easy. Yeah.
So I had 3 A's at AS. I was predicted 3 A's for A2, which I then got as well. But my university application, looking back now as an educator myself, it suffered in one key way, which was it just talked about my love for the subject. They said, I love English, I can speak Old English, I can speak Latin, I'm well versed in the works of Shakespeare, but that's about it. And I wish I had someone like you to mentor me back then. I would have applied to Oxford and Cambridge and probably would have got in.
Yeah.
But I had a fantastic journey at Queen Mary. I loved my years at Queen Mary. I went back and did a master's for a reason. Those are some of my fondest years. And there were ups and downs, there were struggles, and I got through those struggles by my love of the subject and my love of literature. But I wish I had known you and back then, So what advice do you have for current students who are applying to university now? It's a whole different world. When I applied, letters of recommendation didn't exist, for example. And so you were giving my students face-to-face advice recently. What advice do you have for someone applying to university right now?
Look, I just wrote a book on university admissions last year, which is called University Admissions Explained. The book's on Amazon and other places. I've put the price, basically just cost price what it costs to print it, because I want as many young people and teachers to read it, because maybe someone will benefit from it. So I'm not making money in the book. But basically in the book, there is something I invented called Sunny's Admissions Formula, which is a 7-step formula that every student needs to follow to get in. So the first one is the application form.
Application form.
Yeah. It takes about 2-3 hours. Name, date of birth, where you're from, what subject you apply for. Not difficult, but you still need to pay attention not to make silly mistakes.
True. So there you go, viewers. First step, your application form must be perfect.
Yeah, and use Grammarly and software like that to sort of make sure you're not doing anything stupid.
Well, I thought Grammarly was something we should stay away from.
No, actually, Grammarly I use, and I check important documents to make sure that I'm only human, and I find it helpful to me.
I completely agree. So step one, I just want to take our viewers through it very, very slowly. Step one, check your application. Use software to check it too, so that there are no embarrassing missing periods or missing commas and so on. What's step two?
Step 2 is you need to work on your CV. And typically the best time to start it is when you're 15 years old. So you've got 2 years from, if we're talking in UK grades, from September of year 11 to September of year 13, which is US September of grade 10 to September of grade 12, to build a world-class CV that will make you stand out compared to your competitors.
What's a CV? Your grades or your personal experiences like horse riding and hobbies like karate? What do you mean by CV?
So CV is split into 2 parts. You've got the academic CV and the non-academic. So academic CV is things like reading the right books, watching the right podcasts, like your podcast,
like this podcast,
taking the right online courses, having having a blog, doing academic publications, joining a student club at school, creating your own one and becoming a president or leader of the club. So, if something doesn't exist, create it and become the leader.
That's really smart, actually.
Organizing an academic conference. So often with our students, once they we help them organize a student club, we would teach them how to write cold emails, and they would cold email 400 or 500 professors from different universities. Yeah. And then you get about 1% acceptance rate, and that's enough because you only need 4 or 5 people. You arrange a Zoom event, right, where they attend in video, the student would share the event, and immediately from just a normal student, they're now
conference organizer
with these professors who've attended.
It's very impressive on a CV, isn't it?
Massive.
I always thought CV just meant your sports and your academics and that's it. But you're talking about actual proactive things such as organizing a conference, becoming the president of a club that you have created in school. That's really, really smart. I'd never thought of that.
Yeah, and look, this stuff doesn't cost any money, just your time, right? Like, you don't need contacts, and then the cherry on the cake is, once these professors stand up to a conference, again, it's all on video, reach out to them and say, hey, really enjoyed your speech, blah, blah, blah. Do you have any work for me? Can I come and help you for free this summer?
So shadow a professor.
Yeah. And guess what? If you just email a professor at a good university and say, hey, can I come and work for you? They'll just probably ignore your email. They'll say no. However, because they've already met you and they know you and there is trust and they've seen you, it's not the first time you're interacting, more often than not, they say, yeah, sure. Or they say, look, I don't have anything, but my friend here does.
Yeah.
So, again, I've had students with no money or contacts get internships with professors from Oxford, Cambridge, Stanford, just purely from cold emailing and a bit of persevering.
I mean, perseverance is very important. You've got to keep at it, and eventually, just purely from your persistence alone, the professor may well just say, well, you know what, fine.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the academic CV. Then the non-academic is stuff like doing a startup, volunteering charity work, speaking languages, different sports, sport, drama, theatre, things like this. So, and depending on the country you're applying to, you need a different CV.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the UK, Oxford, Queen Mary, King's, they couldn't care less if you play violin. They couldn't care less if you can swim, but they do care about the books that you read, the online courses you've done, and how you can critically engage with the stuff that you've done.
So those things should go on the CV. If you're applying to, as an international student applying to the UK, then you focus on those things. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, forget about violin and sport. It's a waste of time.
Where does violin and sport matter? Which country?
US, big time. Canada to an extent, but not much else.
Interesting. So you want to tailor your CV according to the university you're applying for. One blanket CV, which you think is perfect, sending it everywhere will do nothing for you.
That's right. Very bad idea.
So we've got application form, CV. What's the next step?
Number 3, essay or essays. So if you're applying to the UK, you just have one main essay called the personal statement. It's about 1.25 pages, 4,000 characters. Writing personal statement is easy. It takes about 2 weeks. Writing a good personal statement is not easy. It takes about 10 months. The reason...
10 months? I must have spent about a month on mine.
So the thing is, you want it to go through about 15, 20 iterations, because also as you grow and mature, new ideas come out, and it's just good to start this process early. That's for the UK. If you're applying to the US, instead of one essay, you're looking at about 30 to 40 essays, depending on the number of universities you're applying to. So again, I always tell students, no point applying to every single university under the sun, because you're just going to have a ton of workload. It's better to pace yourself, do fewer applications, but execute them really well.
What's the next step?
So application form, CV, essay, transcript.
Transcript. These are all your grades?
That's right, yeah. And a lot of students apply to university before they've graduated from high school, which is why they're going to be applying with their achieved grades, so grades from their previous couple of years, as well as predicted grades. And guys, predicted grades depend entirely on the teacher. So
how do you ensure that your teachers give you good predicted grades? Can you just go and hassle them and say, sir, please give me an A and that's all I need?
Basically, look, it's a mixture of being a genuinely good student, being proactive, and also a bit of sucking up, let's be honest about it. I, as a teacher, I'm a human being. I've got biases like everybody else. If I like a student, if I see that student try hard, if I see that student make an effort with me, I'm gonna, even subconsciously, I'm gonna support them more than a student who doesn't do this.
What about a student that is always late, misses lessons, doesn't hand in homework, is not really there mentally, they're just physically there, they're kind of daydreaming somewhere else, they've got an AirPod in one ear, and that student that comes to you and says, oh, I'm going to need this grade by that day on this form, and I've already emailed you the form. How would you respond to that kind of student?
Look, I'm not sure the language that I would use is appropriate for your, for your podcast.
Yeah. But you'd probably say no, right?
No. And look, a point that I feel very strongly about: university is not for everyone.
Yeah.
And in fact, I feel 80% of students who currently go to university shouldn't go to university. Should get an apprenticeship, get a job, start making money, gaining experience, and not getting into debt. However, if you decide to go to university, so that's the advice I would give to, a lot of kids. It's not about getting into university. It's about setting up, following a path that's right for your goals and your,
being sure about what you want to do, making sure you're on the right track and on the right path.
Yeah, that's right. And for example, to my own brother, I'm recommending an apprenticeship. He's not super academic at school, and I told him, like, no point.
And that's perfectly fine as a pathway, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So, I wouldn't be recommending something to my own brother if I wasn't 100% confident in it. However, if you are going to university, I want to support your application, but make it easy for me by being polite, communicating clearly, and keeping me updated on the activities you're doing.
And yeah, you were telling my students recently about how, as an applicant, your teacher, unless you keep that teacher up to date with everything that you're doing and all your accomplishments outside of school, then your teacher won't know. The only way you can get a good, that's the next step, isn't it? Personal statement is your letter of recommendation.
Yeah, that's right. So
how do you get a good letter of recommendation?
So, look, you've got your application form, your CV, your essay, your transcript, letter of recommendation. Basically, be on the teacher's radar. So first of all, identify different schools have a different process. Some schools, students can approach a teacher and pick a teacher who will write them the reference. Other schools tell, no, we assign you a teacher who will write your reference. In some schools, every teacher writes a paragraph, then it goes to like a head teacher who consolidates it. Other schools do it differently. So figure out your process in your school. Once you figured it out, identify who the key stakeholders are, and build a relationship with them. And it's always a good idea not just to put all your eggs into one basket and just build a relationship with one teacher. That teacher can die, they can move, they can change jobs, they can get fired, they can have their own problems. So, hedge your bets, and also people talk. So if you are rude to every single teacher apart from the one writing you a reference, they're going to know.
Very true.
The stuff from chat is a thing.
I can vouch for that.
So, guys, teachers, we're human beings just like everyone else. So make it easy for us to write you a supportive reference.
Very true. Well, I've got some questions now from some of my current year 12 students.
The ones we saw this morning.
Yes. So they forwarded some questions. The first question was, how do you choose? So you told them that they shouldn't just apply to 500 universities and go for broke. They should limit the number they apply to.
That's right.
How do they choose that limited number of universities?
Well, if you're applying to the UK, you just apply to 5, so that's already chosen for you. In America, however, there isn't really such a limit. You can apply to 20 Common App, you can apply to another 8, 9, UC, University of California system, you can apply to Texas, MIT, Georgetown, so you could apply to 30, 35 universities if you want to. My recommendation, if you're applying to more than 10 universities, your list of universities is wrong. Because you need to split it into 3 categories, A, B, C. So you've got your dream reach universities, that you kind of need to win the lottery to get in, or, it's unlikely. And I would recommend you have maybe 5 of these. Then you have, or maybe 5 or 6. Then you've got, 2 or 3 match. So these are universities where you should be getting in based on your grades and your CV. And then you've got 1 or 2 safeties. You don't need 20 safeties. Again, the idea of a safety is that you're going to get accepted. So if you're not sure if your safety is going to accept you, it's not really a safety. Maybe that's a match. You should pick safeties that definitely will accept you.
I agree. I mean, I had 3 top choices, and I really made sure that my application was very particular with what they wanted. And even then, with my 3 A's, I got a straight flat out no from UCL. No reason, no nothing. And then I got an interview from Queen Mary. But the irony was that, well, it's not really irony, but the stress level was increased by the fact that on the morning of my Queen Mary interview, I got the letter from King's saying, we're really sorry, you're not successful. So I knew there was a lot riding on that interview at Queen Mary. So I honed myself in, and, I had
worked out.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke Latin in that interview. Trust me, there was Old English coming out as well. And the professor, he actually recently wrote me a letter of recommendation for a PhD application, and I still remember how kind he was that day. He was smiled, and he saw that I wanted to do well. He saw my love for English, and that came through in the interview. So interview coaching is really important, and I can speak for that, and I do think students shouldn't be applying to so many. I agree. Limit your number.
Yeah, look, limit your number and chase for your targets and do a better job at each one.
I've got one more question for you, which was, what factors should I consider when deciding on my university major? Should I be looking for passion, job prospects, market growth, or the future?
Well, the future is the dumbest thing to look at because ultimately no one knows what the future will be.
No.
So just a guess. And like 5 years ago, everyone wanted to work in crypto. 5 years before that, it was biotech. Now it's AI. So guess what? In a couple of years, it will be the latest thing that everyone is talking about. So,
so what should a student focus on when deciding upon their major?
Another thing to say, I think we need to shift the mindset from thinking of, look, I'm going to go to university for 3 or 4 years, I'm going to get this degree, and then I'm going to, I need to make the decision now. There needs to be an acceptance that probably you're going to change a few careers, not just employers, but a few careers throughout your life.
Very true.
And the view should be, okay, I'm going to go and get a degree if that's what you decide to do.
Yeah.
But then every year I'm going to invest X amount of time and X amount of money into upskilling and updating my skill set. It could be through courses, independent learning, reading, seminars, whatever it is, to continue keeping myself competitive and learning the latest practices. So if the mindset is shifted to this, then you're a lot more resilient to recessions and to, basically changes in technology.
So you're saying basically a student should be flexible, accept the fact that over the course of their life, they're not going to do one job and then that'll be it. Most likely they'll change jobs, change specialty, and change the direction that they're going to be going in. If you have that mindset, then deciding upon a major becomes a bit easier because you're going to be flexible anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Another factor, again, most people shouldn't be going to university, but if you do go to university, make sure you go to a good one. And so I would view it from, okay, which subjects I actually enjoy and which subjects will make it easiest for me to get into a good university, which will give me the strong brand and the strong networking opportunities, for later on. So a lot of students try to go for the more, better paid subjects, law, medicine, banking. But if you're miserable there for 3-4 years, then I would really advise against it.
This is very true. I agree. I always say that the degree that you do, it will have an impact on the job that you do. Both of those things you have to love, and I mean really love, because in those days at university when you're studying, there'll be dark days. There was a time when I had to study William Shakespeare's Troilus and Cressida. It was hard, and that's not an easy place to understand. But my love for English got me through it. And interestingly, the professors actually called us into the lecture hall and said, "We're very aware that none of you have studied this play. We're going to have a direct quiz right now, and if anybody gets less than 90%, you will be dropped from the course." And people panicked, and I mean people were sweating. Our phones back then didn't have the internet, okay? People were sweating bullets. No one had studied it. No one knew anything about the play. It's like an alternative Romeo and Juliet. People were panicking. The professors took everyone Shakespeare's notes and plays. They handed out paper, handed out pencils. The test will start right now, as soon as you get the question on the board. People were sweating. I was like, I'm okay. I actually read the play. On the board, the professors wrote, 1st of April, April Fool's Day. And I said, we can be funny too, can't we? And people were like, Professor, no, that wasn't funny. Why would you do that to us? Okay. So the only way you get through those dark, and that was a joke, but there are times when that's a real quiz and everything absolutely rides on a quiz. And if you don't have that love for that subject, then you won't have revised and crammed. So it's very important that you do a degree that you will really enjoy, not one your parents will enjoy, one that you will really enjoy and are good at. And then you do a job that you really enjoy and are good at.
Totally. And look, another thing is, look at the skill set that will still be needed in 50, 100 years' time. Talking to people, communication, that's still going to be needed. Negotiating with people, they're still going to be needing. Understanding body language. ChatGPT is not going to replace, you. So, yes, ChatGPT will kill a lot of jobs in law, in banking, in finance. But look at the stuff that ChatGPT cannot replace, and anything based on a human relationship, on a human interaction, that's something that's fairly proof. So I would again encourage you not just to study the subjects, but also to learn outside, and invest in invest in upskilling yourself in these other interpersonal skills.
I really appreciate your time. As I said, the reason I wanted to interview was that I wish I had someone like you to mentor me through my university application process. And within this video, in the links below, I'm going to be putting your company and how people can get in touch with you, so that if anyone watching this video is applying and struggling with a university application, they can get in touch with you, they can follow your mentorship and your guidance. And I really, really appreciate your time today.